So, usually, when I go to a body of water, I always bring at least 2 rods. Sometimes I'll bring more, but I usually won't bring less unless I'm going for like one specific reason with one rod and like, really trying to learn a technique or, for some other reason why I would just bring 1 rod. But usually I'll bring 2. One of the rods that I bring is going to be for some sort of a moving bait. So like a lipless crankbait or a square bill or like a swim jig or something along those lines. And then the second rod that I bring is usually some sort of slow moving bait, like a finesse lure or some sort of jig or something that, crawls on the bottom, something like that. So, ever since I started bass fishing, I've started to learn which lures I like to use and which ones I don't like to use as much. And one lure that I really seem to gravitate towards is a craw, some sort of soft plastic craw. Whenever I go to any sort of body of water, whether that be a lake, a pond, a stream, a river, I'll usually have some sort of craw or crawfish imitation tied on. And so I've started really using a craw as my slower presentation for when I go towards any sort of body of water, whether that be a new one or one that I fish all the time. I usually just always have a craw on hand. So for today's episode of the Soft Plastic Showdown, we're going to be looking at 5 different types of crawfish lures that are on the market. If you've seen any of the other Soft Plastic Showdown videos that I've done, you'll know that we compare the lures on a whole bunch of different specs, like their price, the quantity you get per pack, the color selection, and a whole bunch of other things. And then we go and take a look in the test tank and see what they look like underwater. And at the end, I'll come back in front of the camera and I'll rate each of them for you and let you know what I think of them. For those of you who are first-time viewers, what's going on? My name is Spice. Welcome to the channel. This is Spice Can't Fish. If you've seen any of my previous videos, welcome back. Nice to see you again. Alright, without further ado, let's get into this one. First up is the Big Bite Baits Dean Rojas Fighting Frog. This lure has a thick body, but it also has 2 thin ridges that run the length of the body, which makes hook penetration on the hook set and threading the lure on the hook very easy. The thin claws allow for a fluttering kick. It's not overpowering, but it's definitely a lot more action than I anticipated. Second up is the Berkeley Powerbait Chigger Craw. The large flapping claws allow for a decent amount of kicking action, while the thin body maintains a smaller overall profile for the lure. This is one of my go-to craws for early spring, as well as a great jig trailer for when the bass are finicky or not looking for very fast-moving prey. Third, we have the Smart Baits Brute. The 2 smaller arms that run the side of the bait don't have any action, but the tail makes up for it with that incredible kick. It's almost a cross between a craw and a double-tailed grub. I wish these lures weren't as expensive as they were because I would buy a whole ton of them. Fourth, we have the Swimming Craw from Big Bite Baits. The thick body structure allows for good hook placement in the plastic, and the claws offer good bulk and presence, but not a lot of action. Last but not least is the X-Zone Lures Muscle Back Finesse Craw. This lure has a very small profile, optimal for finesse jig trailers, small Texas rigs and jig heads, or anytime you need a finessier profile, hence the Finesse Craw in its name. The claws have kicker flanges on them that give the craw a ton of action even for the small size. The claws have kicker flanges on them that give the craw a ton of action even for the small size. Alright y'all, let's get into the rating. So if you haven't seen a Soft Plastic Showdown before, the way that I rate these is we go through 5 different categories where I award them a maximum of 3 points for each category for a total of 15 points. So the 5 categories that we rate these Soft Plastics on are their action, the price per pack, the quantity that you get per pack, the color selection that they have, and then the last category is the other category, which is separated into 3 smaller subcategories, which can be whether the lure has scent, whether the lure has salt, and whether it's made out of a quality plastic or not. So these 5 categories together are going to add together to give a total maximum of 15 points. Alright, let's get into it. So to start off the action, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 3. It had a surprising amount of action for what I thought it would be, but it wasn't super huge and wide kicking, so I'm not going to give it a perfect 3 out of 3 because I personally like my Craws to have a little bit more action most of the time. So for a price, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 3 because if you go and look at a bunch of other soft plastic craw options, that's kind of the general area of or the general vicinity of the average price is somewhere around $4 to $5. So anywhere between that $4 and $5 mark, I'm going to give it just a 2 out of 3, just general average, good price. For the quantity per pack, I'm going to give this lure a 3 out of 3 because the 3-inch size comes with 10 per pack and the 4-inch size comes with 7 per pack. And those are the two general, largely used sizes. So both of those sizes come with more per pack than your average soft plastic Craws style lure. So I'm going to give it a higher than average rating. And then for the color selection, this one is offered in some of the most amount of colors that we can find on the market with 27 colors. So I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 3 for sure. So for the other category, I'm going to say yes, it has scent, yes, it has good salt content, and yes, it's made out of quality plastic. So it's going to get a perfect 3 out of 3 for the other category. And that's going to bring the total amount of points to 13 out of 15 for the Dean Rojas Fighting Frog. Alright, second up is going to be the Berkley Power Baits Chigger Craw. So for the action of this one, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 3. The kicking arms moved a lot, but I was hoping that it was going to be a little bit more buoyant, so I'm just going to give it an average action. For the price of this one, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 3 as well, because at $4.99, it's again right in that middle price range for a Craws style lure. For the quantity that you get per package, I'm going to give this lure a 3 out of 3 because this lure comes in 2 sizes, the 3-inch and the 4-inch. And the 3-inch comes in with 10 per pack, while the 4-inch comes in 9 per pack. So both sizes come with a lot more lures per pack than your average Craws style lure. For the color selection, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 3 because it has all the essential colors, but they only offer 7 colors, which isn't a lot. So I think personally they could probably use a few more options. For the other category, I'm going to give it a 1 for scent, 1 for salt, and 1 for the quality plastic because I think it's made out of good quality plastic. So that's going to be 3 out of 3 for the other category, which is going to bring the Berkley Power Bait Chigger Craw to a total of 12 out of 15 points. Alright, third up on our list is going to be the Smart Baits Brood. First up for the action category, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 3. I was blown away with the amount of action this lure had. The kicking action that those 2 back claws offered was blew my mind, just out of this world. For the price, I'm going to give this lure 1 out of 3 because at $7.99 per pack, it's the most expensive lure that we tested today. For the quantity, I'm going to give this lure a 3 out of 3. You get 8 per pack, which is a decent amount for a Craws style lure. For the color selection, I'm going to give this lure a 1 out of 3 because I could only find information on that one color changing color. So I'm just going to guess it comes in just that one color variant, which I personally wish it came in a few more because I thought it would be really interesting to get a whole bunch of different colors. But apparently it's just the one. So I'm going to give this one a 1 out of 3. And then last for the other category, this one does not have any scent on it, so it gets a 0 for that. No salt content, so it gets a 0 for that, but it is made out of quality plastic, so it gets a 1 out of 3 for the other category. And that means that the Smart Baits Brute comes out at 9 out of 15 on our scale. Alright, fourth up on our list is going to be the Big Bite Baits Swimming Craw. So first up for the action of this one, I'm going to give it a 1 out of 3. With the name of this one, the Swimming Craw, I thought that the appendages were going to have a large, wide kicking action to them, but they were actually really underwhelming. They didn't really kick that much, and they weren't very buoyant either, so it did give a good presentation in the water, in my opinion. For the price, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 3 because at $2.99 per pack, this is the most budget-friendly option we saw today. So for the quantity per pack, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 3 because it only comes in 6 per pack, which is about average for a Craws style lure. For the color selection category, I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 3. It's offered in 17 great colors, and I really think that they have pretty much covered almost every situation that you could possibly need a color for. So I'm just going to give it a 3 out of 3 because I think it's a great selection. And last for the other category, I gave it a 1 for the scent, a 1 for the salt content, and and then a 1 because I think it's made out of quality plastic. So that's going to bring the swimming craw to a total of 12 out of 15. Alright, and last but not least, we're going to have the X-Zone Lures Muscle-Backed Finesse Craw. So first up for the action of this one, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 3. I was very impressed with the action of this. It had a ton of action in a small compact package. For the quantity per lure, I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 3 as well. It comes in 8 per pack, which is more than average for a craw lure. For the price category, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 3 because at $4.49 per pack, it's about average for a craw style lure to be priced at. For the color selection, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 3 as well. It's got offered in some decent colors, and I think 10 is just about enough to cover all the bases. And last but not least, for the other category, I'm going to give it a 1 for scent, a 0 for salt because I don't think it has any salt in it, and a 1 for the quality plastic. So I think overall this leaves the Muscles Back Finesse Craw at a total of 13 out of 15. Alright y'all, that's going to do it. If you guys enjoyed the video, I would really appreciate it if you left a like and a comment down below. Tell me how much you liked it, or if there's anything I can improve on, let me know down there too. If y'all have any good ideas for any videos, also I would really appreciate if you left those down below as well. And if you like the videos, then think about maybe subscribing to the channel and checking out some more of my videos over there. Alright y'all, I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.